Hey, Rob. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for jumping on this morning. I started a little bit early, and I know I got the link over to you a little bit late. So, how you doing?
Oh, you're good. You're good. Good. How are you?
I like the microphone. I like the whole setup there.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, we got it. We do a little podcast type thing for our partners, and we got a couple of things going on like that. We do some video streaming. We do all our demos this way too. So at first it was a little raspy, so I decided to invest in it, and it's nothing crazy. I think it was $50 or something, but it does make a big difference.
Audio, the sound is everything. Your visual could be off a little bit. I mean, people got to look at my ugly face, but at least it's my audio. Audio is good. It's fine.
Yep.
So, congratulations, you're a new dad.
That's right. Yep. So if I'm looking a little tired under my eyes here, it's because we've been half sleeping. So we got a little thing. My wife and I are doing well with it. We're learning how to do it. It's our first kid, so there's a big learning curve there. But we're shifting off the responsibilities and getting it all done. So all is well.
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations with that. There's no book for it. You just got to go with it, right? So,
That's right.
So let's talk about your business. Let's talk about where you are. Obviously, it's such a different time having a new baby at the same time. This is going to be a great chapter in your book one day, Ben, by the way.
You know what? It's funny you say that, because I was saying that to the team the other day. Is, you know what? We're gonna look at this as this is a tough time for the world and our business in particular, being in travel. But one day when we make it, we're gonna this will be that a chapter that I think that gets the most press about it. So we said something similar, exactly. So
yeah,
it's
just one of those things in life, right? You just never know, but you'll always remember. So I want to talk about just kind of how you got to this moment, this part in your career. You were biz dev, analytics, guy growing, kind of coming through the business and industry.
Yep.
How'd you land on team travel? Take us through that process.
Yeah. So in college, I was actually an engineer, and I started my career in pharmaceutical, of all things. So it was kind of a different spot than I think most entrepreneurs. But the whole time throughout college, I was selling stuff. I was selling engineering classes for kids. I was selling some real estate software. I was selling, different little products here and there. And one summer, or not summer, spring break, actually, a group of us went out to Breckenridge, Colorado. And to get this all organized when you're about 21 years old, it's really tough. You don't know what to do. So we went through this package company, and I was the organizer. And there's, I think, 10, 12 people, something like that. And because I organized it, I got 5%. So we got that money, and I think we threw a party with it when we were out there. Something simple like that. I thought that was kind of interesting to make some money selling the travel products. So I started selling spring break packages right out of college when I was working in pharmaceutical industry. So I started doing that, selling these spring break packages, and I'd sell the snowboarding packages or these traditional, the Cancun type stuff people would go to. And I was making some decent money and all this kind of thing. And it wasn't anything crazy, but it was enough to where I said, man, this is interesting. So I said, okay, what is a business there that I could do? So then I started to package these things together. Long story short, we kind of fumbled around with it, learned the sales process, how to develop websites and all that kind of jazz, and realized this is not a sustainable business model. So then we thought about, well, what is? And I grew up playing ice hockey, traveled all the time for that. One of my founders, he was a big sports guy, and he actually played ultimate frisbee. And ultimate frisbee is one of these club sports, is what they're called at the universities. And they're not varsity, but they are competitive. So they travel all around to play competitive teams. However, they're not really well funded. They're not really well organized. So what he was saying is pretty much everybody there's club hockey, there's club baseball, all the sports you can think of, there's club versions of it. And they need to have some kind of way to do the travel better. Because essentially the way it was happening now is every year a new treasurer would come along and they have to figure this out. And these kids don't know, they never booked anything before. So they had no direction. They ended up just searching online, and it was tough for them. So anyways, we saw a market there, and we we called, I think it was 100 universities, just for 4 or 5 weeks in a row, just every day, all day, just try to call people and do a 10-question survey and see how they're managing this process at these universities. And from there, we figured out a couple problems they're having, and then we built a first iteration of the product around that. And that's how we got in the sports industry. And then through that, we started to learn about some of the struggles with events for sports and the way that room blocks work and how much of a pain that stuff is. And we got a product for that market as well. So that's kind of how it started. It's nothing like, sometimes I think people think, oh, it's this epiphany. This person's just a genius or something. They start this company that's doing this. It's never usually like that. I think it's usually very piecewise. And you start with something that's very basic and that anyone can think about, and then you just slightly increase or solve a small little problem, and then get to this next piece. And then all of a sudden, a year, 2 years later, you have this system that's very interesting and helps people a lot. So that's how we got to where we're at here.
So talk about where we are today. The college industry, college intramural and club sports and travel is completely shut down.
Yeah.
How not like you didn't know that, right? But how have you pivoted? What have you done for your business right now when you have the time? So what are you doing to keep your mind busy? What are you doing to keep your staff busy?
Yeah. So we're doing a big customer success campaign, is what I call it, where we have 150 university partners, all at different levels. Some are 100% of their volume goes through us. Some of them were just an option, maybe 20, 30%, something like that. So what we're doing is we have our salespeople, our customer service people, all the and even our tech people kind of working on this project for now. Is we're getting in contact with them. We're seeing them how we solved all these issues related to the crisis, because this happened just about overnight. I think it was Friday, March 5th or 4th. I forget exactly what day, but that day, no problems. We were having our highest volumes. We were growing. The last 2 years, we're going 300% each year, and we were seeing that same kind of growth, and just it was great, and everybody was fine. I talked to a couple partners at Priceline, some of these other larger companies, Expedia. I'm a big flight partner out of Australia, and they're all saying, Ben, you know what? Everything's should be fine with you guys in the U.S. You're more of a localized car driving group. So you should be fine. They didn't see any problems with it, even that week. And then all of a sudden it changed overnight. That weekend happened. I think it was Monday, that they're calling a Black Monday now, when the stock market took its initial 10% hit or whatever it was. And at that moment it changed. That day we started to see one or two universities start to do travel bans. We didn't think too much of it. We thought, okay, they're kind of getting ahead of this. That's fine. We understand. And then by the end of that week, all 150. So exactly 100%, not even like 90%. Every single one had a travel ban by that Friday, which we did not anticipate at all, and it was kind of caught us off guard. But what we did was we had thousands of reservations at that point that were still active that need to be canceled, and some of these we consolidate rates. So just to give everybody an understanding of our business, the way that we get rates is we partner with major suppliers out there like Priceline, Expedia, Booking.com. And then we also, the other side of it is we partner with wholesale groups that have really big discounts we can offer too. So long story short, we had to get all these reservations canceled. And we really just have one customer service person and then like a contract type role for the other piece of it. So we didn't have nearly enough people to get this done. So what we had to do was myself, my sales guy, my tech people, marketing contract, everybody in the business started answering phone calls, calling up hotels, rate providers, different stuff, and trying to get this solved. It was a nightmare for about 2-3 weeks there. But not to get too off topic there, but over the last right now, at least, we're really just focusing on staying maintained with our partners, seeing how we did with this whole process, seeing how our operations held up during this. And then we're going to start a sales process eventually where we're going to focus on what's called duty of care, which is how in control of you are your bookings. If you don't have a centralized process, are you really maintaining all this risk right? And so that's what we're kind of focused on too, is how do we not take advantage, but how do we build a better product from this and understand that this is a risk in our world now with these kind of pandemics that can happen or other world disasters. And are you ready? Is your program risk adverse and have enough policy in place to get around that? So we're hoping to do that piece of it. And the other side is, like I said, so the university is one side of the business. That's about 60-70% right now. The new really interesting piece that I really want to talk about with you, Rob, it's more of around your market, is the youth sports events. So we have a way that really helps people manage and monetize hotels for their events without having to go through a huge contracting process for months and weeks and get all this block set up, and you only have one hotel to pick from. And we were just launching that with basketball, because that was our initial kind of test market here for that we had a really nice footing in. And that just, as you know too, all those events got canceled just about the same week. They were a little bit after. The universities really sparked almost instantly. It was like I said, that first week, they were almost all gone. These youth sports events, they tried to kind of hold on for the next couple of weeks until they realized the scope of this crisis. And all of a sudden, they all started canceling, and then that was a whole nother piece. But that's our new product that we're really interested in, and we're using this time to also build product features and automation, that kind of thing.
Well, the thing about it is, just listening to you talk, there's two ways you could go with this in a crisis. And you being, a leader, and it's no surprise why you've developed such a great business. You focus on how could you make everything around you better? How could you make your client experience better? How could you make your staff, rally around not panicking, but rallying around? And that's a great sign of a leader. And what are the things that you've, besides being a new dad, what are the things during this process have you learned about yourself, Ben, that's really surprised you?
Well, and just to get honest with you, in the sense that, it wasn't easy. So like, I think overall this business has gone really well from the beginning. So I haven't seen a ton of adversity. That's not to say that I haven't had any problems. Believe me, we've had a lot of problems and things not go exactly our way, but overall the trends have been really good. And this was a tough one. So it was almost like I had a couple weeks there where like I was just kind of down for, no reason. And I not for no reason, for good reason really, but just down, and it was tough to kind of navigate that because I hadn't experienced it very, very much. So I just realized that, what, there's all that I can do is choose how I'm going to react to the situation. So I cannot go and solve the virus. There's nothing, I don't have that kind of, and I'm not Bill Gates or somebody that has these $100 million you can throw at it and maybe be a big piece of the solution there. I can, do my small part or whatever it might be. But I thought, okay, what can I do to change my mindset to try to come out of this better as a person, better as a company, and keep all my employees. So like, here's the thing is, we don't have a ton of employees. We got 5 of us or so and a couple of contractors kind of thing, nothing crazy. And that's actually a benefit because a lot of our partners that have hundreds of employees, man, their payrolls are so much. How are they going to stay? How are they going to survive this? Man, it's tough. They're furloughing everybody, and I understand it because you can't be putting out millions of dollars per month if you're effectively at zero. But luckily, so we were in a position where we had a decent cash position because we were just about to hire a couple people on. So that was really just luck of timing because we wouldn't have had that much. We wouldn't have had a 6-month reserve like that otherwise. And so I think what happens is I had this spell of kind of self-doubt and just a little bit being down. And then I realized I'm going to switch this and I'm going to use this as an advantage for us. And we're going to work on things that otherwise we couldn't. We'd never had time for before. Automation, some of these tech stuff we never had time for. My CTO has got, we have this new version that we're coming out with that stuff we never would have had time for. So we're looking on the bright side and we're saying, hey, we're going to come out ahead of this thing. We're going to come out enlightened with our customers, and we're going to come out with a story that's worth telling. So that's how we switched it there.
What advice do you give the young entrepreneurs coming out? Anybody who's kind of in that spot right now that maybe has an MVP, they go to market. Obviously, this happens. What's happening in the world today. But what advice do you give to them to survive this?
Yeah. So I think for me, so we bootstrapped, and for anybody that doesn't know that term, that means that you don't raise money. And we're actually might be changing that. We might be trying to do a round here relatively soon. We've been in business a little bit now, but anyways, in the beginning, I think a lot of young entrepreneurs, they see all this Silicon Valley stuff and they see all this media about entrepreneurship and it's kind of sexy and cool and all this. And it's all about raising money, because if you think about it from a media perspective, raising money is really interesting. It's something that catches headlines quickly. But I would almost always suggest, if you're a young entrepreneur just starting, don't think about raising money. Think about your customer only. So focus obsessively on your customer. So as a founder, what you should be doing every day is either one, talking to customers, or two, building your product based on what the customer said. So don't think you're a genius and go try to build some product that that maybe you might like. That's a good starting point, but get validation. Start with customer always. Talk with customer all the time, obsessively. And then once you get enough feedback that is like, and write everything down. That's another thing that people don't do. Don't just keep it all up here, because you're gonna sway yourself. You're gonna kind of make yourself think that it's better or worse than it is. Whatever it is, write it down in a very systematic process. And then after you have 100 entries in this thing, you can look at it analytically and go, my gosh, I see a trend here that's very obvious now. So focus on that customer, get real feedback, not subjective and all that kind of stuff. And then after you get customer feedback, then go build product. So that's what I would suggest, just obsessive focus on your customer.
I love it. I love the fact that you didn't recommend going out and getting funding right away, because, that's sometimes, people get into being entrepreneurs or being in business. You're not an entrepreneur until you actually run a business, right? So until then you're right. So you're in business by yourself, or you're solopreneur. And I 100% agree with you. Trying to go out and raise money, it is a skill in and of itself. There's no doubt about it. But raising money isn't the business, and the customer is always the business. And so that was great advice. Great advice, Ben. Good luck with the new baby. And I'm glad you were able to spend some time with us this morning. We finally got this thing right.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. No, this is fun. And if there's if anybody out there that wants to reach me, you can just I don't know if you do a promotion like that, but if anybody wants to reach me and just talk about partnerships, we do a lot of partnerships, or just you're starting to business in the sports industry or events, whatever else, feel free to contact me. You can just look me up on LinkedIn. Ben Knosby. There's nobody with that last name, so my name is a unique name on there. Just look me up. You can connect. I'll connect with you. And we'd love to talk with you, help you out, whatever we can. And that's what I'm focused on a lot now. Is at least my role is I'm trying to get out and meet new people. Help people where I can and add value, and just see where these relationships can take us. So, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. That's the easiest spot. Just look up my name. And let's see what we can do together, and just stay positive, stay healthy through this, and we'll make it through.
Yeah, stay positive and healthy. That's right. Well, that's Ben over there. I'm Rob. You're watching Game Playing You today. Thanks, Ben, for your time and for all the nuggets of gold information and great advice that you gave us today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Rob.